The second Cowboys report of the day is made possible by Roan. I am rocking one of their polos, and they make the best clothes out there with their commuter collection. More on them later on in today's show. Remember, you get 20% off when you use code CHATSPORTS over at roan.com/chatsports. A wide receiver heavy show beginning with the news that broke earlier this afternoon. Martavis Bryant has been released by the Dallas Cowboys. That leaves 3 open roster spots for the moment on the Cowboys' active 90-man roster. That includes rookies who haven't signed, etc. right there. The word out of the Cowboys is, they're moving in a different direction. There might be one direction that could end up being there. But first, are you upset the Cowboys cut Martavis Bryant, who I know some of you were excited about? I'll give my thoughts here in a moment, but are you upset? Y for yes, N for no. I'm mostly unbothered. It would have been nice to see what he could do in a preseason, in a camp, but this is a guy who hasn't played football in 5 years, and I think my expectations were low. I tried to set expectations low for everyone else out there. I get why he got excited. So it's okay. This is one of those moves that I'm going to trust the front office and the coaching staff that they know what type of player they have or maybe don't have on their roster. So the wide receiver room now looks like this. Lamb, Cooks, Tolbert, Turpin, Jalen Brooks, Ryan Flournoy, David Durden, Jalen Moreno-Cropper, Racey McMath, Cam Johnson, Corey Crooms. It's some UDFAs in there, and McMath could be a nice special teams contributor. Cropper is maybe another practice squad year guy, offers some slot ability. Durden was an intriguing developmental guy coming out of West Florida. Flournoy fits that mold as a draft pick, though. And maybe Dallas ends up adding Zay Jones now. The former Jags receiver is visiting the Cowboys today. That was broken earlier this afternoon by Jordan Schultz, or I guess this morning, technically. We did spend some time on it on the video earlier today. As I mentioned in our short, and as I mentioned in the video, no guarantee a deal happens. There's ties to the Cowboys organization. If you're looking for a veteran wide receiver 3, or maybe really just 4 option, I do think Jones could fill that role potentially. I'm also not like, oh yeah, Zay Jones, here we go. That's not who he is. At his best, that's not who he is. I think a realistic goal is like, Gallup. Not prime Gallup, not the worst version of Gallup, but like not dropping all the passes in the world version of Michael Gallup. The timing's interesting. The Cowboys had open roster spots. You typically don't see them cut a player and then sign a player. Normally it's the opposite because you got to get that deal finalized. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys end up signing Zay Jones. I just don't think it's a guarantee it's going to happen necessarily. Wouldn't be surprised though. Predictions for you guys. Will the Cowboys end up signing Zay Jones before camp gets going? S for sign, P for pass. If the ad comes on YouTube, take advantage. Go vote at the pinned comment, S or P. The Treylon Burks trade rumors are how we'll spend the remainder of today's show, because this is interesting to me. They have been mentioned, including by us before they signed Tyler Boyd, because we saw that one coming, as a speculative trade destination for the former first-round pick out of Arkansas. Tennessee right now has Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd, all of whom are ahead of Treylon Burks right now. The former first-round pick, simply put, has been a bust. I think a change of scenery for all parties involved could certainly make some sense, and Tennessee short-term can ride with Ridley, Nuke, Boyd. You're not going to trade Hopkins, by the way. Let's not go back down that path. Westbrook-Ikina, Jaquan Jackson, even Kyle Phillips as a slot piece. There are things about this potential marriage, the Cowboys and Burks, that I do think make a lot of sense with what we know about the Cowboys. We know about how they felt about Treylon Burks, their need at wide receiver, their goal of winning the deal, that I think make this intriguing to consider. We'll come back more in depth on the pros and cons of a Treylon Burks trade, but first a word about today's sponsor, Roan. I think the mail closet was due for a reinvention. I don't like it when my shirt's got big logos and stuff. It's very distracting. I like it sleek. I like it comfortable. I like it modern. And that is the Roan Commuter Collection. Comfortable, breathable, and versatile set of products for every occasion. Pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, polos, blazers. They look great as individual pieces like the polo, or if you want to rock their pants, which I own a very comfortable pair of, also match super well. Their 4-way stretch fabric is breathable, flexible, and works everywhere from your commute to work itself, to drinks after, to dinner after, to golf after if the weather's nice. And they got you covered. Plus, Gold Fusion anti-odor technology means more wears between washes, and you'll be feeling fresh and clean all day long. There's no lingering odors you have to deal with. The Commuter Collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Go to roan.com/chatsports and use code chatsports to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you go to RHONE.com/chatsports and use code chatsports. Find your corner office comfort with Roan. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Before we move forward on Burks, I want to take a look back to the 2020 NFL Draft when the Dallas Cowboys, they take Tyler Smith, and they make a big deal about, see, he was the highest graded player on our board, and they showcased that, right? And internet sleuths did such a good job of using the character length and the position schools and figuring out where those round 2 grades were, because only Lewis Seen was graded ahead of Tyler Smith if it was their real board and not a version of their board that had Smith higher. If that's all accurate, Cowboys had Treylon Burks as their number 23 overall player, a second-round grade in that year's NFL Draft. That's pretty high grade, you know? Now, again, it assumes it is the real board, but think about it this way. You sent a 4th-round pick for a more premium position, but still, your receiver is pretty premium, for a guy that you had a fairly similar grade on in his draft class. Couldn't you do something similar here at wide receiver and flip one of your many potential day 3 picks this year and get a player you liked and have a 2-year trial run for him? You got a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. I don't think you're trading any of those for Burks. You are in line to have 4 5th-round picks, your own 5th, and you are currently projected to have 3 5th-round comp picks. Those can change more frequently down than up, by the way, because it's the comp pick formula doesn't just factor for agents, it's all players, so it's easier to fall than it is rise. You have a 6th-round pick and a projected 6th-round comp pick as well. So maybe you would have interest in saying, you know what, the wide receiver 3 spot is shaky. We had a higher grade on Burks than we did Jalen Tolbert. Why not flip a 5th for him and see if that's enough for Tennessee to say yes and see if he can become more than what he's been so far in his NFL career? So let's say Tennessee is down to take a 5th-round pick for Burks. Maybe that's too low, but he's been bad, as we'll get into. Would you do that deal from the Cowboys' perspective? D for deal, ND for no deal. The Burks angle that is most troubling is, look, it's been bad. You know, the career production through 2 seasons is kind of mediocre for a 1st-round pick in 1 season. I mean, you know, Jalen Tolbert, we're looking at what he did last season compared to what Treylon Burks did last season. Burks, 16 catches, 221 yards, 0 touchdowns. Jalen Tolbert had 22 catches for 268 yards and 2 scores. And I know the quarterback room is different, etc., but I mean, Tolbert outplayed Burks last year. And I think for me, again, I can always only speak to how I grade players. And the Cowboys obviously had a 2nd-round grade on Burks, which is also the grade they have at 23. For me, it was 25. So we graded the guy pretty similar. He kind of fell a bit in the pre-draft process because good size, 6'2", 225, but 4.55 is fine. Bad agility testing. The vert wasn't very good. He was supposed to be a freaky athlete. Instead, he was average-ish. In fact, Burks, from a pure athletic testing perspective, is one of the lower-graded athletes to go in round 1 the past couple seasons. Those concerns, like, is he going to separate well enough? You know, is he going to be able to be? Is he a guy you have to scheme a little bit for? Is he dynamic enough to get open on his own? You know, is he this freaky athlete, or was that angle a little bit overblown? You know, I think a lot of those things have come true so far. You can go back to that production he's had. It hasn't been very good. He's got the same size as Dez, but he wasn't as athletic. You know, he was built like an outside X receiver, but he did his damage in the slot. He's had weight issues at his time. He was never an elite separator. The athletic ability concern. He's got big hands, but he never got going in Tennessee. The nice part is he's cheap. That you would pay him $2 million this year if you traded for him. With the Titans safe, I would assume post June 1st, because at this point, just wait. There are no benefits to not waiting, frankly, unless the team blows you away. And that cap hit Tennessee owes, they save almost half of it. I think that's doable for all sides involved. If the Cowboys think, you know what, they'll go back, their pro personnel would look at the film, say, okay, can we make this work here? And if you think, I think a big slot role is perfect for him, does that mesh with CeeDee Lamb? Things you have to work yourself through. But for a 5th-round pick, yeah, I would make that trade. We'll see if Dallas does. Maybe they target defensive tackle backs instead. Running backs, excuse me. We will have you covered. Multiple videos every single day throughout the offseason and the preseason, camp, etc. Hit that sub button right now.